Hello and welcome, everybody. Going to do my little interpretation of the spring equinox, which is the true new year. So beginning March 20th, 2023 is actually the new year. So that's probably why if you've been your whole life going, when we traditionally have been taught to celebrate the new year, on December 31st, it doesn't really make sense that that is the new year beginning, because that's not when in the spring everything becomes fertile and things are reproducing. That's where the egg and the rabbit from Easter symbolizes that is supposed to be the new year, where there's a fertility and a newness of life. So I just want to address a couple things. I'm going to cover the Aries equinox and Aries season. We're also going to be discussing the new moon in Aries that's taking place on the 21st. So a lot to pack in here. Going to get right into it. I want to address a couple things about astrology, because when we say I'm a Virgo, that is just where the sun is. So if you're an Aries, say, that's where the sun's at when you're born. That's why you can put two Aries side by side and they're completely different people. We are made up of all four elements. We have every one of the planets in our natal chart, a little snapshot of exact time of where and when we're born. And there's always the higher and lower vibe. We can be playing out the low aspect of a sign. We'll use Aries since that's the topic today, and be aggressive and impulsive. We can be the other spectrum of it, depending on how much we've been healing in our life this time, and be, assertive and courageous. So there we have it. That's why. So when you hear that somebody's such and such sign, that is only where the sun is when they're born. I've just been reading a lot of comments and people get confused on that. We're made up of every one of those elements, signs, and planets. And it just depends on where we are on our soul's evolution, how we're playing it out. That's the whole point of the astrology chart, and why I got so fascinated with it, is that can just show us on the wheel where we need to head, what we need to let go of, kind of our personality, our traits, our soul, our emotions, all within the natal chart. That's why I love it. So Aries season, the new year begins on the 20th. So there could be two things here playing out. We could be having a lot of grief because we are finishing up the 12th house, Pisces season, where it's about endings and dissolvings and letting go and surrendering. And then we have this Aries energy coming in to where it's sparking a passion within us. We can really feel the newness coming in within us. And again, it just depends on your soul's evolution and if you chose to wake up and heal. So Aries season, March 20th through April 20th, and it is packing a huge punch this year. It's always a powerful time because it starts out the new astrological year, but this year we have a lot of big movers in the heavens that are just packing a punch. And really how I like to look at it is the opportunity for evolution for us. We have a new moon. New moons are always about planting seeds, new beginnings. This new moon in Aries happening March 21st happens to be taking place at 0 degrees, which is another new initiating energy, right, to go along with the cardinal fire. But 0 degrees, about 50 minutes. That's huge. The ruling planet of Aries is Mars. Mars has been in the air, the intellectual sign of Gemini since August of 2022. So we've had this action planet over there in the mental plane, also Gemini known as duality. So there's been a lot of time in sorting out in the intellect and decisions that you may have been thinking about, communicating. That Mars, I'm ready for it to be out of Gemini, quite frankly, myself. So Again, it's been there since August of 2022. It is now finishing up its post shadow phase in Gemini. So that's another initiating where it will move into Cancer on the 25th, which is Saturday. So Mars, the ruling planet of this new moon of Aries season, will be moving on, thank God, out of that mental plane and moving into water, which is really not the most favorite place for Mars to be neither. But I think that with your own self-reflection, I think that it can give you a really new perspective moving into the sign of Cancer of home. What makes you feel nurtured? What makes you feel safe? This could, because Mars is the action planet, it can initiate maybe some home renovations, even maybe changing of homes, maybe even an initiation of what you may have felt to be home to you in your body from the past to now. So a lot of initiating energy. To go over this, Aries rules over the head, the face, and the eyes. So pay attention to that throughout the Aries season, taking good care of it. That would make sense to why a lot of people like myself have been having sinus pressure, right? The head, eyes are still adjusting and assimilating if you're awake and aware of the solar flares and CMEs that have been going off. I got to shut the vent, pardon me. Happens every time. So in order to get this moving along, we just got to talk about Pluto it's at the end degrees of Capricorn, and it has been in Capricorn energy since 2008. Thank God it will be moving on. So that very end degrees, I have to pull up the chart, sorry, so I don't get lost on what I'm sharing. So here we go. Here is the new moon, which is the sun and the moon conjunct in the sign of Aries. We also have the planet of communication at 5 degrees in Aries, and Chiron, the wounded healer. Also Jupiter, all in Aries. So that's a lot of fire, cardinal, initiating energy. Thank God. A lot of us could be really having profound transformation with the healing the wounds that we've been all reflecting upon here since Mars, the ruling planet of this new moon of Aries season, is at 28 degrees at the time of the new moon. So I think that it's going to give us a lot of forward momentum. It may not be action time yet, but we're starting to get more sure of ourselves, right? We're starting to be able to come out of that murky, dissolving, dreamy, also kind of illusionary Pisces energy, right? Of kind of feeling like we got one foot in one realm and one in the other, and kind of in our intellect, especially being able to gain some clarity on new beginnings, new chapters. We have, back to where I started, Pluto, the planet of transformation. I'm feeling like with this initiating cardinal fire energy, that's going to really initiate the phoenix rising within us, right? Kind of that spiritual warrior type of energy with the Aries, plus the end degrees of Pluto in Capricorn. We also had another big mover. Saturn is now at 1 degrees of Pisces. So it moved out of the sign of Aquarius. That's huge transformation. These are 2 outer planets, 2 collective planets, but also individual. So go into your chart, see which house this new moon in Aries is taking place, and you'll have an idea of where that new beginning, that transformation is taking place. So, there's so much to talk about in astrology, especially right now, as we have, like I said, the Pluto transitioning from an earth sign structures into Aquarius, the people transformation on an individual level, but also a evolutionary step for all of us. I could go into so many layers because that's how astrology is, but because I'm keeping this in the Aries spring equinox and the new moon, I will just leave it there. But I think we all kind of can feel it, right? The stepping into the unknown. But whatever it is that you've been reflecting about taking in information, reflecting intellectually about, having conversations with others about, this initiating energy at the end degrees of Gemini should give you an idea on the steps that we need to take, or at least start planting the seed for, right? So the nodes, real briefly, the north node is where we want to head. The south node is what we're letting go of. That north node has been in Taurus and in Scorpio. So letting go of fears, old belief systems, and you could be feeling and finding yourself getting drawn back into old fears, right? Fears of stepping out and being seen in a different light, perhaps, breaking relationships with others that no longer work for you. That's another thing that's huge too. And for the longest time on my channel, I was talking about that Uranus and Taurus with the North Node being so important. It still is. So that Uranus is quick, sudden insights. It's electrical. It's the nervous system. It's also earth changes, right? Taurus, earth changes, body changes. A lot of us heading towards that North Node in Taurus, or where we should be, rethinking on what we value, what we find comfort in, what is in our everyday life working for us, and really being able to apply that. This is a huge initiating. Every spring equinox is as we head into the new astrological year. However, with the Pluto transition from Capricorn to Aquarius, Saturn from Aquarius to Pisces, 0 degrees on a new moon, that's big, right? And also that Mars leaving Gemini. Thank God. Thank God. That's how I look at it. So some of the crystals that are companion stones for the Aries energy are ruby. It's a stone of nobility and in the color red. Carnelian, which is helpful for motivation, endurance, creativity. The citrine, I have a necklace too, I haven't worn it in a while, is energy boosting. Balances the solar plexus because Aries rules over the solar plexus. So just above your navel. And also red jasper, which is very grounding. And it also promotes you to have more consideration before you respond, because the lowest energy of Aries is just to be impulsive. So those are the companion stones. Some of the key words for Aries are action, because Aries is our physical action. Mars is out of post shadow phase, going to be heading into a new sign after many months of being there. Another key word is our drive. So that first initiating spark of energy that we get, it is assertive. So, not being able to, not holding back from hitting the pavement on doing things that you need to do. And then on the lowest, it is aggression. So we'll see how that takes place with Mars moving into Cancer. Again, not its most favorite place to be. But I think it can really give us a new initiating energy, like I said, on defining family values. Like I said, home renovations, which I will be doing and continually do when you own a home. That's kind of how it works. And we'll just see how it plays out. It's all about humanity. And so Pluto going into that sign of Aquarius, which is humanity, we're going to see a lot of transformation. I believe if you've been doing your work and seeing through all of the Mars square Neptune confusion, deception, if you've been gaining your own inner clarity, I think this is where some people will gain a lot of momentum on whatever they want to bring to the table for themselves and the collective for a better humanity, a better planet. And then on that lower vibe, if people have been stuck in the illusion and the deception and not being able to tangibly hold their energy accountable, we can see a lot of dismantling in the collective as well, as angers rise, as aggression lies, because we have to stop biting the apple of deception and being deceived. That was the whole concept behind the low energy of Mars square Neptune that's been taking place. So I'm really super kind of hyper. Let me pull this deck out. I want to pull one card from the Sacred Rebel, and this just kind of stuck out to me. I would have had this deck out already. Better pull it out too. I did not read the Sabian symbol for this new moon in Aries. I didn't want to keep this video too long. I still have to do the cards for the Aries new Aries season. So from the Sacred Rebel. I just want to thank the Holy Spirit for always guiding me. We are just seeking to tap into the energy of the spring equinox, the new moon in Aries, a new initiating fire energy. Any messages that you have for us for guidance, for inspiration, for awareness, we give gratitude, we give thanks. We give thanks. So I know when I realized, oh, we're heading into Aries season, and I started having sinus headache 2 days ago, still doing it. I had it again tonight. And then my eyes feel like they're readjusting again. I had solar flares. I'm like, oh, Aries ruled over the head. Imagine that. Not surprised. That's how it just works. That's why I love astrology so much. The symbolism and the cycles. That's what it's all about. So as within, so without, as above, so below. Said that backwards. I get that way sometimes. Dyslexic. Aries equinox, Aries new moon, kind of a combination of both. They're happening 1 day apart. Heaven sent. Card 33. I always think of Yeshua. Ooh, the divine 33. I want to say to you for Aries season, for all of us who tune in and listen, the Aries energy ruling over the solar plexus. So trusting our gut, that first hit you get, trust it. Don't ignore it. Trust your intuition, trust your gut. Your body's very intelligent. Heaven is always communicating with us if we just slow down and listen, right? I'm noticing a lot of synchronicities showing up on the clock again, too. And if you could really see the beautifulness of this divine white light around the crown chakra, around the third eye. Isn't that funny? Because when I pray, I close my eyes. Most people do. Have you ever really just felt right into that? I know I have. It's almost like you can tangibly feel heaven when you slow down, meditate. Trust your gut. Listen to the small, still voice within you. Let's read what card 33 says. Just as we receive gifts in the physical world through the thoughtfulness of others to acknowledge how much we mean to them, so too we receive gifts on other levels, including the spiritual level. A spiritual gift is something that happens through grace. We can ask for help and it may be given in response to the request. Amen to that. All requests for help are answered. A spiritual gift can also be given without us asking for anything at all, at least not consciously. Sometimes it is in our hearts that cry out for help. While we are busy getting on with our to-do list, we don't often stop to think about what our hearts might need. If we do, and an immediate solution is not obvious, we just get on with our life, either letting the issue be or taking the more painful option of dwelling on it without seeing how it might be resolved. Oh God, I'm so used to be guilty of that. However, there's a loving benevolence in life that knows exactly what you need and how it can best come to us, even when we are not quite so clear. So that you could be feeling that. I am. You're maybe not just clear on what you want to do, right? And you're feeling this newness, something brewing, something different's brewing within you. You know it, you can feel it. Like I said, this is kind of more of a planting a seed time than it is to go head on into full on action, right? Because it is cardinal fire. It is the initiator. So there's a passion brewing within you. You can feel it. You feel the transformation. That's where we could be. And I do go back into fear and the fear of the change, right? We're all guilty of it. We all do it. So the force actively seeks to assist us in walking on our life path. That loving sweetness is being offered to you now or soon will be in the form of spiritual gifts. Your spiritual gift may be symbolic. It may be something that seems ordinary but holds a lot of meaning to you. It might be an object that catches your eye and mesmerizes you. Oh my God, that was the sun today. I was sitting outside up against a tree grounding, and I looked up and the sun was so white and I started snapping pictures of it and it just was mesmerizing. It reminds me of this divine white light in this beautiful image of heaven. So it might be an object that catches your eye or mesmerizes you. You might think you are appreciating how lovely it looks, but it is the underlying energy that captures you. Something in the appearance, the color, or the shape speaks to you, and it perhaps answering an unspoken prayer. It is not the object that is the gift. That is just the wrapping. The actual gift is subtle yet effective empowerment. Wow. So I'm not going to continue to read because it's very, very long. I just have to say this. Pay attention to the small, subtle things if you're one that overlooks those. It could be a phone call just when you were thinking about somebody else. It could be the synchronicities of the time on the clock. It could be a butterfly. It could be a bird landing near you. Look at the awe. Look at it with grace, right? Really embracing. We've all been through so much shit, right? Like I was ready for some fire energy for sure. And you can tell that Mars is at the end degree of Gemini for me personally, because I am a Virgo, also ruled by the ruling planet of Gemini, which is Mercury. I'm feeling a little bit like, ooh, busy in the brain and a little bit of all over the place. It's okay. It's at its anoretic degree. So that's when a planet is at the end and the beginning, which we have this new moon in Aries, 0 degrees. It's very powerful. Plus Saturn, 1 degree in Aquarius or Pisces, I'm sorry. Plus Pluto at the end degrees of Capricorn. I mean, like, wow, can you feel it like a pressure cooker? But you already know that transformation, that Phoenix, which is mostly affiliated with Scorpio, but with Pluto right there at the end of that degree, And Aries being a fire sign, I'm really feeling the relation between the two on the Phoenix rising. Like there's something within you, something's available, something's been heaven sent. You're becoming more and more clear over the past 6, 7 months with Mars, the ruling planet of this sign in Gemini. There's a clarity, there's a passion, and many of you have been witnessing the grace and the messages and the symbolism to things that show up on your path. So keep paying attention to that. You know, it's not easy on the earth plane, especially if you're sensitive like myself. But when we really tap into our souls chose to be here, there we go. Look at it now. Okay. Everything's in divine order. We are definitely going through a process individually and collectively, like it's on. And so we got to keep reminding ourselves of that heaven's right here. If you need help, I do it all the time. You know, I'm praying for people all the time that I don't even say nothing. I just do it. I'm a prayer warrior. I love to pray. I know that answers are given. I know they are. I've witnessed it many times as a grieving mother, who I just went deep diving into that too. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we're finishing up Pisces season, 12th house ending. Now we're initiating this newness. So you could be wavering between grief and a really super, a drive within you, an excitement within you. It's like being bipolar, really, but it's not. It's you trusting your gut. So let's get some more messages for Aries. That is another thing too, now that we're into this fire. Plus with the sun being so active, hydrate, 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 you guys. Oh, that was another epiphany. To different doctors in the hospital all the freaking time. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I kept begging the Holy Spirit to, literally begging me because I dealt with it so long, to guide me on what I needed. And it ended up being electrolytes, and no physical outside person who I paid a bunch of money to misdiagnosed me, gave me the answers. It was heaven sent, legit. I was guided to electrolytes, specifically potassium, and bingo. So that's the power of prayer. And the message is heaven's always interacting with us through nature, through dragonflies for me, through birds, right? Gemini, cross-pollinate. Wow. So Gemini is where Mars is leaving. That energy of duality, right? It's even kind of, we may have more clarity between our left and right hemispheres of our brain. Cross-pollinate. What an interesting card. Card number 3, 2. So to me, what's coming up is taking those lessons of the past, taking the wisdom forward. See the 2 bees and 2 flowers, pollinating it, taking your lessons that you've reflected on, that you've communicated, that you've thought, that you've felt, taking that forward into the new you, planting the seed with this new moon of your new beginning, of the new you, the resurrected you, right? The fertile, creative being who is trusting your gut, will no longer ignore the messages that your body receives, even having sent messages, taking that forward. And wow, I've never drawn that card. That's actually really beautiful. Balancing the dark and light within you. The yin, the yang, the masculine, the feminine. Being open to receive, but also willing to give. That's the universal flow, right? 12th house, introspection. So again, there is still a lot of energy, and Pisces. We just now have Saturn there at the early degrees. Neptune is still there. I believe it's been there since what, 2012, I want to say. What else was in Pisces? And let's look real quick. Okay, Neptune. I don't know if there's any asteroids there, so I won't bother, but we went into this deep dive in the 12th house of introspection. Now we're starting to gain more clarity. We're ready to initiate in this Aries season. We're allowing to let go and dissolve anything that no longer works, whether it be shame, guilt, relationships, jobs. We've took that time for introspection. We're now ready to plant the seed with this cardinal fire of Aries season. New moon too at 0 degrees. Like, wow. Excuse me. I love that card with the chakras. So this to me is also making sure, and it is so funny because Soul Whisper, if you're not subscribed to her channel, go do that. It's in the top of somewhere in my description box on my home screen. Anyway, she did a beautiful video today about chakras and the importance of clearing it, balancing them, grounding to not only the earth, but also heaven. And she did that beautiful collaboration with Jazz. So this is just another reminder of the importance of, and I need to do this. I'm not taking the time to do this every day, to clear and balance out your chakra system. And if you're not familiar with chakras, dive into that. I've never done a video on it. I'm aware of what they are, but since it's Aries season ruling over the solar plexus just above the navel, I think it's very important. And I just want to stick this in there to, again, reiterate trusting your gut. Okay. Because with Pluto going into Aquarius, the transformation that's going to happen with AI and technology, we know that there's already been technology out there that could heal people, but there's also people living on the earth plane who do not have the best interest of humanity that will use technology to fool you, to deceive you, to track you, to trace you. So we need to pay attention to that and not be deceived. Like I was saying, keeping our energy accountable, knowing other people's energy, trusting the gut is going to be increasingly important, and clearing your energy field every day as well, balancing your chakras, because Pluto in Aquarius on the low vibe is, which we know they already have it, most of us do, clones. They're creating robots that look just like people. I mean, the shit is out there. It's out there. And it's going to increase with Pluto going into Aquarius. I want to say also that this is the true initiation of the age of Aquarius, the initiating of the door of it, because Pluto's a huge transformational. In some astrology, it represents soul. And so it's going into the sign of Aquarius, which is the people, technology, being the rebel, not being scared to step out, right? Solar flares activate. Card 17. The sun has been popping off solar flares, coronal mass ejections. This is coming into our atmosphere, coming into our earth, influencing everybody who dwells on earth, the planet herself, all life here. So again, back to the hydration. If you're feeling the intensity as I do, because I feel these solar flares, remind yourself that it's an activation. And what happens is it can brew up symptoms within your body. My headache, even though it's sinuses, head, face, Aries, all of this was also initiated and started out 2 days ago when we had a major CME again from the sun. So that activation, we're vibrating higher. Even if you're not awake, your body's changing on a cellular level. I said this a lot about the nervous system being the first thing, because the nervous system, the vagus nerve, is our electrical system. These solar flares come in, it activates us, our pineal gland, our DNA, our body, hot flashes. I get many symptoms, and most of them are repeating. But I'm almost where I can predict them. And I go to the charts and look and go, yes. Some people feel them. Some people don't even have no sensitivity to them. My girlfriend and I were talking about this on Telegram too. And it's because I'm a generator. I'm transmuting collective shit. I don't know why I signed up for it, but I'm here. I'm doing it. I don't believe a lot of people say you're feeling the solar flares and the symptoms only if you're not doing your work. I don't believe that. I do not believe that, because I've been willing to face my shadows. Yes, I still have things rise, but I still feel them. So there's a reason. So if you're feeling them like I do, you could be a generator, and you could be a transmuter, which is transmuting some of the collective who don't want to do their soul work, right? So here we go with the I am affirmation. I think my cat's scratching on the door, because if you shut the door, you're not allowed to. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am a student of astrology. I'm an earth dweller. I'm a keeper of the animals. I'm here to share whatever is called, and I love to share astrology so that we can have a flow with the energies, right? Help us, guide us. I am the creator of my world. This is so true. Our consciousness matters. Our energy matters, right? We're going through a lot of, I say this probably since I started my channel, transformation, because we are, and it seems to keep evolving and intensifying and speeding up. And although we are the creators of our world, we're still playing on a playground with a bunch of different personalities, right? But on a soul level, if we do our work, when I rise, you rise, and we don't ignore that our energy is powerful, that our energy matters. And that's where we get into this polarity on the earth plane, right? So create your own world by starting with your thoughts, your perspectives. And really, I used to say this when I worked. If we have to work, we might as well all get along and make the best of it. That's how I feel on the earth plane. I don't agree with warring, especially the hidden agendas behind it. I'm saddened by all of the suffering, and I get pulled back into that South Node in Scorpio, which we will have the nodes moving, I believe, in July, going into Aries, where this new moon is taking place. North Node will be in Aries, and the nodes move the opposite directions. They're a point. They're not a planet. And the South Node will go into Libra, of the scales of justice, relationships. Anywho, that's ahead of where I'm at right now with this video. So I think the whole point of me even going down that was it's important that we take time for introspection and not just go about our daily lives ignoring the heaven sent messages. Prayers are always heard, right? Messages are always given. Are we awake to it? Are we closed off? This Gemini energy and Mars moving finally out of it. I think that a lot of us are gaining clarity and feeling optimistic about that. Moving into, the feminine energy of Cancer, the mother ruled by the moon. So cross-pollinate. Take the lessons, the blessings, the introspection that you may have had. take it forward with you through knowledge, through wisdom, through acceptance. Solar flares are going to continue. They are not going to slow down. So many of us that feel the ascension symptoms, the integration symptoms, whew, what can I say about that? Sometimes I feel like I'm mastering them, and then other times, nope, not at all. So I guess just be gentle with yourself. Understand that a part of this solar flare activity is heaven sent. There's a reason for our sun looking more white than it does yellow. Remember when you were a kid, it was yellow. It's not anymore. So we're definitely in that. We're here on the earth plane to learn. It's not easy. There's a lot of hard knocks. It's very difficult to witness suffering. So make sure you're making the most of it. You're planting the seed with this new moon in Aries. I hope that you have a newfound passion, a new spark within you. Feels like we're getting ready to leap. It's a little scary, and it's a little not sure where our footing is. Again, don't be impulsive. Be strategic. Be receptive, but also be willing to move when you have that spark of passion, right? Much love to you guys. Thanks for tolerating my chatty self tonight. Much love to you, and shalom, shalom.